First off, I gotta say, I am super excited to welcome all my pals back to the annual Blackwood Winter Getaway.
Hi, my name's Ray Kolaschi. I'm a producer at Sony XDev and I'm working with Supermassive Games on Until Dawn.
I am Gary Ganson and I'm an associate producer at Sony XDev, also working with Supermassive Games on Until Dawn.
At the moment, we are not talking about supporting features. As you know, we were on PS Move on PS3. We're no longer on PS Move, but anything else, we're not talking about that just yet. But hopefully we'll be talking about that very soon. So when we announced in 2012 on PS3, the game was aimed at a slightly different audience. It was aimed at a slightly younger audience, partly because of the PS3 and partly because of the Move, but mostly because it was a true teen horror, and it was kind of, you know, it was more of a teenage kind of humor type kind of experience. And now we're on a different console, which means we've got a different audience, a different market. So we're a lot more. It's a lot darker. It's a lot more mature. We've had the opportunity, very lucky actually, to have the opportunity to go back and look at the story, look at the dialogue, look at all the acting, and say, okay, hold on, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And so, you know, for example, further into the game, there used to be a lot more jokes, used to be a lot more tongue-in-cheek, innuendo type of things. And then we had the opportunity to say, actually, these kids have gone through some really difficult, horrible stuff. Would they really be making this many jokes? You know, if you were in that situation, how would you be talking? How would you be responding? And so we kind of pared it back a little bit and we focused on what makes sense and what's more believable. And you know, that's all because we have the opportunity to be on PS4 and we have the opportunity to start again effectively, which is what we've done. Everything's been rewritten and recreated, you know, reshot, everything's been restarted. So it is quite a different game to what it was. Just the concept is the same as what it was.
It's a lot darker now than what it actually was. So there's a lot more about the horror and the terror, whereas before, like he said, it was a lot more light-hearted. I say light-hearted, but lighter in feel and tone than what it is now. So.
Primarily, it's about performance. It's about, on PS4, we're able to recreate much more closely what was actually acted out on the stage. You know, you just have to look at the imagery and just the game, the screenshots, and you can see straight away that the characters look lifelike. And you know, that's a massive leap from PS3. But it's not just about polygons, it's about, because they look more real, we're able to understand really what they're trying to convey, what the actors are trying to convey, you know, in their expression, in what they've done on the stage. And that's a huge thing for us, because we're so much about the story, so much about connecting with the characters, to really be able to just look at them and see, yeah, okay, I get that, because he looks like me, you know? That's a really big deal. And aside from that, you know, PS4 allows us to do a lot more variation than we had before. We're allowed to, there's a lot more scope for small changes, because obviously you can keep more stuff in memory, you can keep more things together at once. So, you know, we can do a lot more smaller changes and make the story much more your own because of the small details which you've gone through, which, you know, your friend won't have done, which makes a big difference for us. It's an interesting question, because people generally think, when you think about games, you think about multiple endings means variation. For us, it's more about multiple journeys. It's more about, you know, there are literally thousands of variations of the story to get to kind of hundreds of variations of the ending. So it's more about your journey, it's more about your characters and what you've decided, who's alive, who's not, who's been through what they've been through, who's been through something else. And that's what changes, you know, and that for us is a much bigger deal than getting through, you know, playing 9 hours of the same game and then at the end saying, I'm going left or I'm going right. It's not about that at all. It's much more about my 9 hours and your 9 hours are totally different. That's really cool.
It's about creating your own story, and that's what we aim to do with Until Dawn, is that allow the players each to have their own story and their own experiences.
So the team at Supermassive, when they came up with the story, when they came up with, you know, the scenario, they did, you know, hours and hours. They watched thousands of hours of movies, and they consumed, you know, horror books, comic books, all different types of media, to really understand what it is about horror that people like. You know, the three different types of horror that Stephen King discusses when he talks about how he writes his books. You know, it's all about understanding what is appealing about being scared out of your pants. You know, because it's counterintuitive that that'd be interesting to you, but it is. People really love it. So there's various inspirations. You know, there's not one thing. We started off as a teen horror, as I say, and so you would have thought about things like Scream or you know, those kinds of movies. But we've really moved away from there, and it's more about getting the true horror feeling, the true horror experience through the various different inspirations, and trying to make something that's our own, something that's unique to Until Dawn. I mean, I'm a sucker for Cabin in the Woods because it's non-traditional, and because I like Joss Whedon. I think he's awesome, and I like how they took the tropes and took the ideas that people like about horror and just completely flipped them on the head and had some fun with it. That's cool, and possibly because it wasn't that scary, and I'm a bit of a wimp, so you know, a proper truly scary movie like Sinister or VHS or one of those, nah, I can watch it once and that's it. I've got to step away from it. But yeah, that's what I like.
I like more the ones. I do like the way the Cabin in the Woods has a different take on it, but the likes of Saw for me, I think it's so clever.
Yeah.
The original Saw, maybe not the Saws that come after it, but it's really clever the way it's done, and it's not just about how it can scare you, but how it really makes you think, what would I do in that situation? So I like the way that it puts you in that kind of situation.
It's an interesting one because what makes horror can be seen as cliche, you know? You might think, okay, young people, isolated, stranded, got no help, they've got to survive. Is that a cliche, or is that what horror, you know, is that what makes it horror in the first instance? So we do have to be careful with it. We do have to think about, okay, is this predictable? Because that's really the big problem. If somebody spends some money on a game and they want to, you know, dedicate 10 hours to the experience, and they want to play through it a few times, maybe we need to make sure that we keep them on their toes the whole time. So yeah, you know, you're going to find red herrings, you're going to find you know, distractions. You're going to say, you know, look over here, but really the real stuff's going on over here. But so that's just part of the tool set. It's part of what you use to make these kinds of experiences, and we just have to make sure we keep it fresh, keep it not predictable, and keep it interesting for people to really connect to and enjoy.
And when we build the story, it's almost in layers, and we always want to keep the player wondering about what's coming next. And that's the one thing about horror, is that you're frightened of what's to come more than what you're actually seeing in front of you. Yeah, that what it shows you will scare you, but it's what's coming next is the thing that keeps you going and wanting to find out what's actually going on.
So it's not a game based on skill. It's a game based on experience, based on, you know, you being able to get through it, because the story is what's important. So the mechanics are pretty simple. You will find time pressure, you will find things like that, but we want it to be more about the experience and the kind of difficulty of making those decisions, more so than the difficulty of dexterity, more so than difficulty of having to press the right buttons at the right time. So anybody and everybody should be able to play it and understand it and get through it and enjoy it, much more so than, you know, a traditional action game or anything like that. We are looking at those kinds of things. Obviously, PS4 is all about social, it's all about community. We're going to talk about those things more nearer release.
Really happy to be in Russia.
Yeah.
We really hope you enjoy playing the game, and we really hope that it really scares the life out of you at the same time.
Yeah, and let us know what you think about the game. You know, obviously we're really keen to hear what you guys think and where you guys want us to take these kinds of things in the future. So I hope you really enjoy it. Let me just think.
We're trying to remember what the Until Dawn.
I'm not going to try it.
I will try it. It is Dashit Razveda.
Yeah, there you go.